The second game of the match brought us a decisive result. Tan Zhongyi took advantage of the white pieces today and opened the score against Zhu Wenjin.
c4. Knight f6. Knight c3. e5. Knight f3. Knight c6.
Today, we do see the 4-knight variation on the board after Zhu avoided it yesterday, but this time in the English opening.
g3. d5. c takes d5. Knight takes d5. Bishop g2. Bishop c5.
Knight b6 is the main move.
Short castle. Short castle. d3. h6. Knight takes d5. Queen takes d5. Bishop d2. Queen d6. Bishop c3. Queen e7.
The first new move of the game. Since the white knight is usually headed to d2, it makes sense to remove the queen from a future attack with knight e4.
Knight d2. Knight d4. e3. Knight b5. a4. Knight takes c3. B takes c3.
Black got the bishop pair, but this is not a significant advantage here. White's center looks quite strong, and as we will see in the game, the c5 bishop lacks square. White will manage to soon trade it off for the knight.
c6.
Shutting down the bishop on g2 and preparing to develop the light-squared bishop.
a5.
A strong move, adding pressure on b7.
Bishop d7.
With bishop e6, White is ready to create some weaknesses with a timely f5 a6.
Queen b3. Rook a b8. Knight e4. Bishop d6. Knight takes d6. Queen takes d6. d4.
White traded Black's dark squared bishop and opens up the center. The position is equal, but it feels that Tan is slightly more active.
b6.
Getting rid of the weak b7 pawn.
A takes b6. A takes b6. Rook a7. Bishop e6. Queen a4. Rook fc8. Rook b1.
Black's position is perfectly fine, but the white rook on a7, the slight pressure on the c6 and b6 pawns, and the very big pressure on the clock that Tan was putting on Ju here are important in practice. It's worth noting that white had exactly 30 minutes more on her clock than her opponent in this moment.
Bishop d5. D takes e5. Queen takes e5. Queen d4.
Precise play to avoid keeping a weak pawn on c3 and allowing black a potential passed pawn on the queen side.
Queen takes d4. E takes d4. Bishop takes g2. King takes g2. b5. Rook e1. Rook a8. Rook e7. Rook takes a7. Rook takes a7.
At this point, the game seemed to be headed for another draw.
c5.
Still drawish, but invites unwanted complications. Now, each side will get a passed pawn and black needs to be more precise.
King f3. C takes d4. C takes d4. King f8. Rook b7.
This pawn already looks more difficult to defend than white's d4 pawn. Black needs to find active play, which Ju immediately goes for.
Rook c3 check. King e4. Rook c2.
Creating counterattacks on white's kingside pawns.
King e3. Rook c3 check. King d2. Rook f3. King e2. Rook f5.
This defends the b pawn and controls the d5 square, preventing white's pawn from advancing for now. However, the rook looks slightly misplaced here.
King e3. h5. f4. King e8.
This is the decisive mistake, but black's position was already tough. In practice, this position should be very difficult to defend. Black needs to find only moves, and that's something only engines excel at. Before was the last chance black had to keep the fight going. This pawn seems to be lost either way, but the idea of this move is to bring the rook into play.
King e4. Rook f6. Rook takes b5. g6. d5. Rook a6.
The rook finally gets out, but white's pieces are already too active. Tan's play is remarkable once she got a winning position.
King e5. f6 check. King d4. Rook a2. King c5. Rook takes h2. Rook b8 check. King d7. Rook b7 check. King c8.
Very precise play, getting her rook on the 7th rank with tempo.
Rook g7. g5. f5.
Closing the pawn structure.
h4. G takes h4. G takes h4. Rook h7. h3. King d6.
Here, d6 was a mistake for allowing the black king to stay in front of the passed pawn.
King b8. King d7. King b7. d6. King b6. King d8. Rook h1. d7. h2. Rook h3. King b7. Rook b3 check. King a7. Rook b2.
White prepares the bridge, but also wants to keep an eye on the h2 pawn.
King a6. Rook e2. King b7. King e7.
Tan Zhongyi wins.